What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to episode number 83 of the Mets'd podcast, brought to you by the 7 Line. Second series of the year, going up against those fighting Phils, and boy, did the Mets actually win. We won the series, took it 2-1. Of course, as you know, we're going to go through everything that went on in game 1, 2, and 3 on the Mets'd podcast during this episode, as well as we have our first prospect report of the entire season, as well as previewing the Arizona Diamondbacks home opener series that me and James are going to both be at. So we have a lot to say this episode. Let's get going right into it. Of course, make sure you're dropping us a follow on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Mets'd Up. You'll be able to find us there. Video versions of everything will go up on the YouTube channel. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen, that's where you'll be able to find us. And make sure you drop us a 5-star rating and a review as well. It really does help grow the pod. Let's go ahead and bring in James. James, we're in person again. 2 episodes in a row.
2 in a row.
The boys are together watching baseball. Things are feeling normal.
Had a nice stream today.
Had a great stream on Twitch. It was a lot of fun, especially when the Mets win.
Yeah, we get that great clip from Alonso. Gotta post that.
Yes, we're going to post that later today, although it will be already old when you guys are listening to this, but it will be going up. If you're somehow listening to this on Wednesday, it will be up on Wednesday night. You'll see me and James jump and high-five each other on the Pete Alonso home run in Game 3, which was fantastic. But I think we want to start this one off with Game 1 because Game 3 was actually good. We don't have to, do Monday morning quarterback stuff here.
We could take this series as it is. And this is also going to be an off-day podcast, so this will be a nice time for all the Mets fans who maybe didn't get to catch as much of this Philly series as they want to sit down, relax, take a deep breath, and be able to listen to us tell you guys every single thing that happened in all 3 of these games.
And let me tell you, there was a lot that happened. And it started with Game 1, where the Mets got out early and got all over Ranger Suarez. Now, granted, they got all over him, but they also didn't because Alec Boehm was just doing something that I haven't really seen in a long time.
And someone, either Marte or Lindor, hit a line drive off of Ranger Suarez, like second batter of the game.
Yeah, Marte smoked it off his leg. And the Mets got off to a hot start. 3-0 in the first inning.
Yes.
Normally feels really, really, really good, especially with the way that was being done. Like, Alec Boehm simply just had a mental breakdown. Could not throw the ball at first base at all.
Felt bad for Alec Boehm that game. There was that viral clip of him saying, "I fucking hate this place," under his breath to, I think, Didi.
Yeah.
And it was caught, and all the Phillies fans were very aware of it during the game. He started getting booed a lot, also because of the errors. But that's just not a really good plan by Joe Girardi, because you know you're going to be pitching Ranger Suarez, who's a lefty, a little more of a soft thrower, and he has a sinker and a changeup. He pitches to ground balls. The Mets are going to stack their lineup with righties. Ranger Suarez is going to pitch them all to get ground balls, and a lot of those ground balls from right-handed hitters on a guy with not much velocity are going to be to the pole side. To the shortstop and third baseman. So why are you not maximizing your infield defense when this guy's on the mound?
No, what was funny, too, is that it felt like the Mets' game plan, as much as it's not, they were just like, let's just hit ground balls to Alec Boehm all game. Because every single ball, it felt like, for the first few innings, went right to Alec Boehm. He was on watch from the beginning. The throws, the mental errors, everything. It caused us to get a 3-0 lead. It was a great start, and it was also great, too, because Taijuan, in his season debut, looked so good out of the gate. Looked so good.
Looked exactly how he looked in the first half of last year. His splitter had a ridiculous 7 whiffs on 7 swings and was sitting like 90, 89 miles an hour, which is where it sat last year when he was his most effective. His fastball is up to 93, 94. Really put all of those horrible things we saw in that last spring training start behind. And I was like, yes, we have good Taijuan. I was scared about Taijuan a lot going into this game.
Oh, I was terrified. I put an over. I put an over first run innings because.
I did too. That hit. Shout out to anybody who trailed the Mets'd podcast on Monday night.
And it wasn't because of Taijuan.
Nope.
Now, did I put that bet because of Taijuan?
A little bit.
A little bit in Citizens Bank Ballpark with that Phillies lineup, the way he made that last start. But he really kind of silenced all those worries because he was throwing, 93, 94.
And the splitter was 90.
The splitter was great. Like, he was kind of dominant.
He was dominant. He pitched 2 dominant innings, and then after an inning, he gave the finger like this to the trainer, called him into the tunnel, and he was out for the game. What we now know is shoulder bursitis, which is a bad sign in April for a guy who has dealt with arm problems in the past.
Yeah, it looks like Taijuan is going to miss a decent chunk of time here. They said that even when he is back, he's going to rehab because they want him to get back and strong. He still hasn't thrown almost any innings because he didn't pitch much in spring.
Nope.
He obviously isn't pitching much now. We might not be seeing Taijuan until maybe the middle of the summer, it feels like.
Yeah, this is all lining up kind of reverse of how it lined up last year.
That all the guys are getting hurt now at the beginning of the year, which I don't know what's worse.
The fact that we can beat the Phillies, this is the most scared I was about the early part of the schedule, playing the Phillies 13 times before June 1st, which everyone this week caught on to that, even though I told all you guys that 2 weeks ago, so shout out. But the fact that we could handle them without our A pitching is a really good sign. A big reason we were able to handle them in this game specifically was David Peterson, who looked as good as he's looked in the past 2 years against a very scary Phillies lineup.
I mean, me and James in conversations, I was terrified about David Peterson pitching in Philly. I know he's a ground ball pitcher, so it kind of works in that park. But just that lineup and the quality of hitters and how David Peterson looked in the spring, a lot of things were being left middle of the plate, like a lot of hittable pitches. He was getting kind of smacked around this spring. When you see Harper, Realmuto, Castellanos, Schwarber, Hoskins, I go, this might not be a good move here, but David Peterson shut me the hell up. And he really pitched well to the point where you start to feel a little bit good about David Peterson.
At least good about the fact that he's on this roster and he's going to be getting innings. Like, David Peterson was no world beater by any means. He pitched 4 innings. I think he only had like 2 or 3 strikeouts.
Yeah.
He wasn't like blowing people away, but he kept a very talented offense at bay. His pitch, he stayed mostly at the bottom of the zone. He threw a couple of those very nice back foot sliders to righties that he does. He had a couple nice outside sliders to lefties. His changeup was fading very nicely. He also debuted what I think was basically a newish curveball.
It looked new
in this game. It was 2 for 2 on whiffs. It had 5 more inches of drop than any curveball he threw all of last year. So this was a pretty good sign from David Peterson. Just the fact that he was good and solid is great. Him being good is great, if you understand what I'm saying there, right?
Yeah, no, him being good is great because we haven't seen him be good really in a while since like that 2019 season or whatever.
2020 he was decent too.
He was all right. Or that's what I meant, 2020.
And he had that one start against the Rays last year where he was just peppering that back foot slider against righties nonstop. And the fact that he was comfortable enough throwing that pitch is a very good sign. I like Peterson now to offer us depth, especially since we're going to need it with Taiwan done.
Yeah, with Taiwan out,
for a little while.
Peterson's going to fill in that spot. Trevor Williams now takes over the Tylor Megill / what was then going to be David Peterson, which is now Trevor Williams' spot. I feel a lot better having him pitch like this. And then we knocked out Ranger Suarez quickly, and that's usually a good sign. You get to the Phillies bullpen early. It's a good sign, but Nick Nelson came in and kind of just stopped everything. The Mets really didn't hit much once Nick Nelson came into the game, and we allowed the Phillies to hang around. And as you know in baseball, it's dangerous. You can't let teams hang around. When you jump out to a 3-0, 4-0 lead early like the Mets did, you got to bury them. You have to bury them. With the offense that they have, too, you want them to start pulling starters out of the game.
And you get a bullpen on the ropes. Nick Nelson didn't really look bad. He also didn't look great. I know he came from the Yankee system. I don't know much about his pitches, but it was interesting. I mentioned this in the last podcast that when you're going to piggyback a starter like that, not that it was the plan to piggyback Ranger Suarez, but I brought in Nick Nelson. We just didn't really have any way to hit him. It's not like we were hitting the ball hard off Ranger Suarez either. We didn't hit the ball hard off of Nick Nelson. We weren't striking out very much because it seems like this Mets team isn't going to strike out as much as we're used to. But just like you said, you let the Phillies hang around. You kind of invite danger into the game.
And can you believe I'm going to say this, but James McCann kind of was big for us in this game.
Massive.
He made a huge impact. He stole a base.
Yeah.
He stole second right underneath their noses.
Good for 1 a year.
1 a year. He still doesn't really do much at the plate, but stealing the base, making an impact where he can. It ended up being huge, Lindor driving him in. That was a big difference at one point with that run.
It was a massive insurance run that made the game 4-0 at the time, which felt the way the Phillies had looked at the plate so far in that game insurmountable, especially the way the Mets were playing defense. Luis Guillorme started this game at second base.
Looked great.
His glove was everywhere. He had a couple really nice double play turn that I don't know if many other second basemen, not even on this roster, in this entire league could have made. A ball that he was leaning away from throwing, it just spun his entire body and threw it. It still wasn't a perfect throw, but with the way his momentum was going, it turned out to be a very necessary throw, and Pete dug it out for a big double play.
Which was huge. Got us to have a huge jam, but then the 8th inning comes.
Yes.
And back-to-back nights, back-to-back games, the 8th inning was trouble. It started weird, too, because Trevor May, who had pitched a great 7th, looked awesome in the 7th, came out for his 2nd inning. And you guys have seen it probably all over Twitter, but we're going to keep talking about this. It was a bizarre decision because Trevor May, a guy who does have arm issues, he's a Tommy John guy, he's had a litany of arm issues through his career. He's been relatively healthy with the Mets, which is great to hear. But he came out for the 2nd inning the first time since 2019, right?
2020, I
2020?
believe.
Okay, in the
but
short
never
season.
as a Met.
Never as a Met. First time as a Met. Immediately walked the guy, and it looked like on the last pitch they threw, he screamed and shouted and was wincing in pain. And Eduardo Escobar even was like, you guys got to come get him. Like,
Trevor May does things like that normally. Like, he will scream and shout on the mound, but the fact he was, like, wincing, and then he got the ball, he rubbed it up, and he was still, like, rubbing the arm around, something was wrong, and he immediately came out of the game.
And luckily, the MRI, nothing too serious.
I was very scared.
I was terrified. I thought...
She said the back of your arm, that's not good.
Yeah, me and my dad thought that he said, I felt something pop.
Yeah.
To which you go, oh my God, a pop? Like, that's...
No pops.
No pops. We want no pops.
Only the bats.
Yeah, only the bats need to be popping. No arms. Luckily, Trevor May, not seriously injured. I don't know when he's going to pitch again.
I don't know either. He's not in the IL, so I'm expecting that they're expecting him to be ready for this Diamondback series.
Which makes sense with the day off tomorrow.
Yes. But
here's where the issue came in. Joely came in. He got the lefties out.
Yes.
But because of the issues and the trouble that we were already in, he had to face JT Realmuto with guys on base.
Yep.
And JT Realmuto stabs it right into us, crushes a home run on an inside changeup, which for the life of me, I still don't understand the pitch calling there. Pitch calling's been a little bit weird if I'm going to get really nitpicky, I haven't been thrilled with some of the pitches that have been called. But, of course, it's going to be a long season. You can find that every single game with every single pitcher.
Especially lefty versus righty, though.
Yeah, that's
hitting righty.
It's like sacrilegious to throw an inside changeup from the left-handed side
not
to
that
a
we
righty.
know that was the intended location.
Yes, I'm sure, I hope, I pray that wasn't the game plan to throw a low and inside changeup to a righty because you're just speeding it up. You're helping him out, getting that bat head out in front of it as opposed to lefty or on the outside corner. He's going to try and pull the ball and hit a weak ground ball, but he got a hold of it, crushed it, and then Seth Lugo came in, and you go, okay, at least it's 4-3. That huge run was that run was big by James McCann. It looked like we were going to be okay because Lugo's in. He's our guy. 2 outs, nobody on.
Against Nick Castellanos, right?
Yeah.
So right-handed hitter, then followed by Rhys Hoskins, right-handed hitter.
Yeah.
So you figure I have Seth Lugo, what was going into the season my second or third best reliever, with 2 outs and nobody on. This really should be okay. And he had Castellanos 1-2. And then he lost him.
And you could tell once you lost him, he did not have his stuff that night. And unfortunately, the 3-batter minimum rule does this to you. I don't necessarily know who the Mets would have gone to if it wasn't for Lugo anyway.
I don't think they had any idea either.
But in a perfect world, you would have seen that first batter and go, this guy doesn't have it.
Yes.
You got to yank him. Because
or at least the second one.
It really is so obvious when Lugo doesn't have his stuff. You can tell from the first pitch almost every single time.
Especially with his off-speed pitches. In this game, Lugo was throwing mostly fastballs. And besides that, sliders. The fact that he didn't have the grip of that curveball, which is his out pitch. It's one of the better curveballs in all of baseball. There should have been alarm bells ringing.
Yeah, I mean, I texted you. I was like, where's the curveball? Throw the curveball.
You didn't have it. You spiked a couple and you couldn't get it over.
Yep. Hoskins hit the piss missile, and then Didi fucking Gregorius, man. My God. Breaks the game open for the lead, 5-4. Didi doing anything is devastating to me because that guy's horrible, and I preach about how terrible Didi Gregorius is as a player.
He's still an okay hitter. He's really not a bad bat. He's a slightly above league average bat.
I think you're thinking of older Didi. I don't think you saw what he did last year. He was horrendous last year.
I mean, I'll give him a 1-year window. I'm gonna pull up his Fangraphs really quickly before we move on,
But anyway, I mean, like, having him get the hit really rubbed some salt in the wound. But, like, we're feeling good. You want to know why? Because we saw our least favorite
he
Met.
was so bad last year.
That's what I'm saying.
But the year before, he was like 116, 19 bad. Actually, he might just be pretty bad now.
Yeah. That's
wow. Ugh.
Yeah, no, I don't say this just as the anti-Philly.
Like 100 games last year, he had a 209 average.
He's horrible. I'm telling you. That's why it was so bad that he got the hit, especially with how much shit I talked to the Phillies and their players and their fans. But we felt good because Brad Hand was coming onto the field, and we were like, hey, this guy stinks.
It's almost painful when you're the road team and you give up a big lead like this in the bottom of the 8th because you have no time to scramble. There's no time to readjust. Like all of a sudden you have Brad Hand coming up. The Mets had no righties left on the bench. All lefties do up in the inning, and you just got Brad Handed. He picked off some bullshit strikes. Dom
got screwed on 2 calls.
Dom got screwed on 2 calls. And like the slider lefty on lefty, it's gonna play. But the fastball, he was just picking off these stupid corners, the dumb angle he comes in to throw. Umpire was helping him out, and I was in personal hell.
Yeah, no, it was awful to watch Brad Hand do exactly what Brad Hand has done for the last 5 years, has made people think he's a great reliever.
For like 3 years. He used to be good. Last 3 years, he's
fine.
been bad.
Yeah, that's fine. That's more fair. He did have a good point where he was good, but he's been doing what he's been doing the last 3 years to convince people that he is still good. Yet everyone around the league who actually knows ball goes, this guy is just really teetering on a really tight rope.
It's a miracle every time he gets an out.
And the Mets lost, and we held the spaces, and the sky was falling, and everything was terrible after 2 heartbreaking 8th inning losses where the bullpen seemingly just crumbled. Although I guess technically the Nationals game, the bullpen didn't crumble, but they blew the game in the 8th inning.
Yeah, and back-to-back games. But luckily, we pulled the nose back up for game 2, which was being pitched by our new ace, Tylor Megill.
Yep, Tylor Megill, man. I love him. He's great. He's
awesome.
so good. Big dick energy. Every time he pitches. I know his nickname is Big Drip, which I don't get that. What is that like a joke on?
I guess it's a joke. Maybe he's like not a flashy dresser. Maybe he does have swag. Like you can see the way he walks, he has swag. The way he's like his moniker, his facial expressions. Like he's a swagged up dude. So that could be Big Drip, like Drip swag.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, but let me tell you, he has it. He has all the confidence in the world. He went up against what is considered to be one of the best lineups in all of baseball. Shut him down.
Just
absolutely disgusting.
Just diced him up effortlessly.
He was so good. I mean, pumping 97, pumping 98 again, whatever he was, with that devastating slider. The slider looks so good again, which is really nice.
It was more about the changeup in the start. He only threw 8 sliders the whole game.
But still looked good.
Yeah, still looked good. But the changeup, he threw 25% of the time. It seems like that's the pitch that's leading the Tylor Megill race to be the, do some word diary here, his primary secondary pitch. I will say that. The pitch has significant drop and fade, both better than league average, and he's throwing at 90 miles an hour now. And I caught one view of when they were showing it. Do you have a baseball in here? A lot of guys, when they've been developing changeups in the last few years, especially a guy like Tylor Megill who didn't really have great stuff on it.
Keep it by your face so they can see it.
Who didn't really have great stuff on it. you do what's called the Vulcan change. And based on where the seams are, you can kind of grip this very different way, but you kind of make this 3-finger grip on the ball, and you can get a little more drop while maintaining velocity. The fact that Tylor Megill's changeup is now sitting 5 miles an hour higher than it did last year with more drop and more fade. Like, there were a couple pitches where he, like, would front door a lefty on it, and it would just, like, find the corner of the zone, but you don't have enough time to react because it's still 90 miles an hour. Tylor Megill has gotten to the pitch laboratory, and he looks incredible. Another adjustment they made, Ronnie pointed this out, he's totally changed his windup. He's basically now just a full stretch pitcher.
Yeah.
He kind of limited the amount of movement he has before the pitch, and he said that's helped him to use his lower half more and generate this new velocity. It's freaking, what a marvel this guy is.
Looks like the star of something special.
Looks like star of something special. It's freaking right.
Kay Feldman's eating her fucking words right now, let me tell you.
I can't wait till he makes the All-Star team.
It's going to be sick. As a starter, not as a reliever like she thought he was going to be. I mean, this Tylor Megill, there's just no world where he is not starting every 5 days for the New York Mets.
Yeah,
he's a key main component of this rotation.
He's an absolute linchpin to what we have right now.
Like, even when DeGrom comes back, he's up there.
For sure. And he still would be devastating in like one of these 3-inning Garrett Whitlock bullpen roles because he still is throwing 60% fastballs. And again, good on Buck for yanking him in the 6th inning when he was cruising through 5 1/3. He only had like 75 or 80 pitches again. The fastball still looked effortless with this brand new delivery. But Schwarber came up, and you don't want a talented left-handed hitter to see your pitcher, who's basically only throwing 2 pitches, 60% of them fastball for a 3rd time. So that's twice in a row, the Mets have executed the Tylor Megill plan, and he still has yet to give up a run.
Good process with Tylor Megill.
Great process.
All about the process. The boys love the process. And with Tylor Megill, whenever he's on the mound for some reason, it's crisp, it's clean, and we love it. Now, this game, of course, was a little bit different because the Mets didn't really swing the bats as much as they did in Game 1. They had a lot of opportunities to get some runs early. Specifically, the bat I can remember is Robinson Cano. And
the first inning.
Bases loaded, 2 outs. I don't really want to talk too much about this one.
No, that's fine. We don't have to. Robinson Cano just had a pretty non-competitive at bat against Zach Wheeler in the 1st inning with 2 outs. And it's just puzzling that he's continuing to get every DH rep over Dom and hitting in a relatively prominent spot in the order. He was 6th in this game, right? 6th or 5th?
He was up there.
The logic, let's see, 3 guys on and 2 outs. That's 5 batters. He was 6th.
Yeah, it's too much. It's not great. He looked old this series. He looked old at the plate. He didn't hit the ball out of the infield, I think. There wasn't a lot of oomph behind any of the swings. There was a lot of swings and misses. This was the first time, truly, the game looked a little too fast for Robinson Cano.
And the game was looking fast on Robinson Cano while the starter on the other side, usually one of the best pitchers in baseball, my Cy Young from last year, Zach Wheeler, didn't have his best stuff either, pitching for the first time after a very long layoff. He was only sitting in the mid-90s. Like, this is a guy you have to jump on. The fact that the Mets had those 3 base runners in the 1st inning, were putting the bat in the ball consistently, not able to get a run, I thought that was a bad omen, especially coming off the blown game from the other night. Luckily, Brandon Nimmo popped the lid off in the mid-innings, and he got the home run off of Zach Wheeler. After, I think that was the 5th inning when there's no reason Girardi should have left him in, correct?
Yeah, they gave him set a very strict pitch limit, and Girardi pushed the envelope and got really, really, really close to it because he was pitching so well and trying to get more because we know that Phillies bullpen can be volatile. And it was a mistake because Nimmo took him deep, which was great to see. Nimmo had a really nice series. We'll talk about his Game 3 performance as well, but it's nice to see Nimmo hitting for a little bit of power. I know it's Philly, so I know it's a little bit different in Philly. But
this guy last year seemed like he cut out a lot of the power in his game to try and get more contact. And so far this season, he seems to be doing both, which if Brandon Nimmo could ever marry those 2 things while maintaining the plate discipline and center field defense, sitting on a gem.
No, it was great, and I was really excited to see Nimmo play well. And then they brought in Christopher Sanchez after that, and he was really good.
He looked really good too.
He doesn't have any great stuff by any means, but he did the job.
Got the job done, similar to Nick Nelson the night before. But again, Joe Girardi left him in too long. He tried to get the 3rd inning out of Christopher Sanchez, and Francisco Lindor for the 2nd time in as many nights, had a very clutch 2-out RBI single, which helped us get an insurance run that we very desperately needed.
Which is great too, because me and you even spoke about his right-handed swings haven't looked as good because last year his right-handed swings early in the year were great.
Yeah.
This year it's been a little bit rougher, I think, but overall Lindor's looking like closer to that player we paid all this money for. I'm loving the way Lindor's playing.
I mean, he's doing exactly what I thought he would do, what we even thought he would do last year. Hit around 260, 265. His on-base percentage would be pretty close to 400, and his slugging percentage would be above 400. That's going to give you the nice over 800 OPS. He's still playing pretty good defense. He's hitting for power. He's keeping the lineup moving. He doesn't take really that many bad at-bats. Like, this is the guy who it is. He's going to be a very casual 4-5 win player. And if things click right, he's going to have one of those 6 or 7 win seasons. Like, this is a good baseball player.
And I just want it to be known that he got the big extra insurance run in Game 2. He got the big extra insurance run in Game 1.
Yes.
He drove those both in. So all the Mets fans at home who will definitely start a narrative at some point that Francisco Lindor isn't clutch or doesn't get big hits.
Not true.
Just remember these two. He's had, 2 or 3 pretty big hits already.
He's had 3 RBIs after the 6th inning of a game so far this year.
In 7 games.
Yes, pretty good. Almost half.
Pretty good. I think when you're talking about clutch and big hits, that's exactly what you're looking for. So enough of the Lindor nonsense.
Definitely. But otherwise in this game, there were just 2 really good pitchers on the mound. So there wasn't a lot to talk about with the bats on either side. Kyle Schwarber went this entire series looking lost.
Which is a crazy sentence to say for us Mets fans. That dude literally couldn't get out last year. I think he had, 7 or 8 home runs against us last year?
7 home runs in 5 games.
It's nuts.
He just went 3 games without a hit.
Which, he was terrifying. He gets the most at bats. He leads off for that team. We held him at check. We held him really well. And I mean, even the bullpen this game. The bullpen, let's talk about them too. Because Tylor Megill had a great job at the beginning. And then the bullpen came in. You mentioned Shreve did the great job. He got us started. And then our boy, Drew Smith, he continues to show that he is a legitimate, good reliever in this bullpen. He's got to be one of the top right-hand arms right now.
He is. I mean, he's proving himself to be someone who we can trust in high leverage. He's still developing very well because he dealt with so many injuries that this is the first time he's really pitched this many consecutive years in his career. Remember, we traded for him from Lucas Duda from the Rays 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
That's when we should have known he was good. We got him from the Rays.
But he touched 97.5 miles per hour in this game. He mixed in his changeup for the first time all season. His fastball had the 50% whiff rate. Like, this is just a really good reliever. Someone who we've been on for a very long time, who I want every Mets fan to be able to sit back comfortably and know you can trust.
And he came out for a second inning too, which we're starting to see that Buck might love a little bit of a second inning appearance.
He did complete the second inning, which not many other Mets relievers have done this year that I can remember.
No, he was absolutely fantastic. And then, of course, we shut the door in the 9th. Edwin Diaz looked so fucking good.
Yes,
disgusting. He looked so disgusting. His slider, that's the slider we've been waiting for Edwin Diaz forever. When he got traded from us from the Mariners, you knew about the 99-mile-an-hour fastball. He had the life, but the slider was the pitch that made him unhittable in Seattle. And he just threw slider after slider after slider to the heart of this order and made them look foolish. No one came really even close to making any sort of damage.
No, absolutely. He threw 15 sliders versus 8 fastballs. That slider had Phillies swung 11 times at it and generated 8 whiffs against the best hitters in this Phillies lineup. It was unhittable. And there was a moment where I believe that who was the lefty up? It might have been Harper.
Harper faced him, yeah.
Yeah, Harper, and he struck. He made him look at one early, and then he got him to swing at 2 more.
But yeah, he was just pounding the sliders. He threw that one in the dirt.
Yeah.
That McCann made a sick play on. Give McCann some props.
With a man on.
With a man on. Huge play. Saved the guy going 90 feet closer. And then he called McCann out, had the visit, threw another slider, game over. I mean, I have never seen Edwin Diaz look so confident, look as good as he did. That was a real...
And he still gave up 2 hits.
Yeah. But they were doinks. They were doink hits. They were nonsense hits. So it was like, to see him pitch like that, strike out all 3 batters to get all 3 outs in the inning, that's the Edwin Diaz we've been looking for. That's the Edwin Diaz we've been waiting for. And I think this is signs that are really, really good to come. And for a guy who could have been a little cold, too, coming back from Puerto Rico.
Well, they said 3 times in the broadcast that he was throwing in Puerto Rico, which is just so funny to me.
It's just funny to think that there is someone that he knows that lives in Puerto Rico that is able to catch 99.
That was on the tip of my tongue. That's shocking. So many things I'd rather do than catch Edwin Diaz.
And think about it, most of those guys who probably can catch 99 are playing in the minors somewhere or at the major league level.
I mean, he probably is friendly with a lot of guys in the professional Puerto Rican league.
Yeah, but
he probably has a cousin. I'm sure he has a cousin.
Gotta have a cousin who can catch 99.
Have a cousin who's in the pipeline.
They have bullpen catchers in the family.
Yeah, a couple, 2 brothers. I want to make one more point about game 2. It was ridiculous to see Yerry's Familia on the other side of the game.
Didn't like it.
No, he diced us up.
Looked sick.
He crushed Cano.
I mean, that was expected. He made him look foolish, but his splitter was working. But this is what we've known as Mets fans too, is that when Jerry's Familia is on, you are not hitting him. Yes. It's not happening. It's just when that sinker's left up or that slider he can't throw for a strike. That's when you go, oh boy, here he is.
He has to throw a strike.
Yeah, he's Two-Face or whatever from Batman. He's got the Harvey Dent side and he's got the evil side.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah,
also.
Jekyll and Hyde. That's Jerry's Familia. Unfortunately, we saw the Jekyll side.
I actually don't even know.
I don't know which side of Jekyll and Hyde's good.
Jekyll sounds more menacing than
I think
Hyde.
It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Okay, so I think Hyde would be nice.
No, I think Hyde's bad. And I think Jekyll... You know what?
Whatever.
I didn't read many books.
I read that one like 3rd grade. I don't even know.
We won. That's all you need to know.
Let's win.
It didn't matter how good Jerry's Familia was.
Fuck
We beat
Jekyll
them.
and Hyde.
Yeah, fuck them both. Fuck Philly. Game 3. Max Scherzer, Aaron Nola, rubber match. The boys were streaming it on Twitch.
Matinee.
I love a good day game on a Wednesday.
Nothing better.
A getaway day like that. It was great that we just got to get our day started with some Mets baseball. Although Max Scherzer looked a little shaky early. It was weird. Both starters did not start the game well. Both of them were a little erratic at the beginning. We're not going to talk too much about Nola because it's not that important. But Scherzer, he walked 3 batters in the first inning, which I would love to know if someone can figure out for us how many times he walked 3 batters in the first inning ever.
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Howie Rose mentioned in the radio broadcast, I was finishing up my bike ride to hang out here from Brooklyn, and this was only the 2nd time in his career that he had walked 3 of the first 4 batters he faced in a game.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
For one of the best pitchers that we've seen in our lifetime. And, of course, Max Scherzer fashion. He got out of it. I don't know how he does it, but he did. He got out of it. I guess that's also the Phillies lineup, too.
Yeah, and while screaming at the umpire.
Yeah, oh, my God. He is a psycho. We got to see a little bit of psycho Max Scherzer today. He was calm in Washington. He was nuts today.
But you mentioned the Phillies lineup, and it was very apparent this series. And this inning was like the perfect, what's that word?
Microcosm.
Microcosm of exactly what it is. Good word. That's the 2 word of the day.
A lot of high fives today. A lot of high fives for the
What
boys.
a series against the Phillies. It's a big day.
We just to go off topic here, you spoke all last episode about this is going to set the tone.
Yes,
we were like, this is
did.
important. It set the tone. The Mets took 2 of 3 and really should have swept.
Yes.
Really should have swept. There's a world the Mets are 7-0 right now, and the boys would be high on life.
Be on the roof recording this episode.
we'd be doing an episode outside.
But again, this inning, Max Scherzer walked Kyle Schwarber, he walked Bryce Harper, and he walked Nick Castellanos, and he was kind of nibbling against all 3 guys. And I will talk about it a little bit later, but he didn't really seem to have great command of his off-speed pitches. Again, last start against Washington was the fastball. This time was the off-speed pitches, secondaries. But he got out of it, and it just really goes to show how much this guy has in him to be able to get out one of the best lineups in baseball, find ways to win when he doesn't have his best stuff.
Yeah, no, he did not have his best stuff, and he's still one of the better pitchers in baseball, which is pretty impressive.
Yes, also helpful on the other side that Nola was not his usual self either. He was more like the self he was for last year. Besides when he faced the Mets, he just wasn't getting the whiffs on his knuckle curve. And as a guy who only throws 92, 93, relies on location, when that knuckle curve isn't knuckle curving, your Mets are going to hit him, and we did.
Yeah, I got a theory that something was going on at the mound today because it felt like everybody that came into the game was kicking it, digging in it. Everybody's first few pitches were high. So I'm wondering, high mound, low mound, whatever it was.
High mound.
Everyone was having an issue, it seemed like, and I'm willing to blame the mound a little bit here. I don't think the Phillies groundkeepers were on top of their game.
I'm there for that, and hopefully the mound played in because Brandon Nimmo turned on a high fastball and sent it right out to the right field seats. How many home runs would Brandon Nimmo hit in a full season at Citizens Bank Park?
30.
30? Yeah.
30, yeah.
Guy's incredible. He's really, really been awesome this season. Today was I'm going to say it again, good microcosm for Brandon Nimmo because the only things he did in his at-bats were 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and the solo home run. The true 3 outcome king. But on the year, he's getting more contact. He's has 333 average when it was all said and done today over his first 7 games, which you love to see that from Brandon Nimmo.
Especially for a guy who we were a little bit nervous about with that stiff neck.
A little bit the stiff neck. Oh,
Nimmo,
my God.
The stiff neck looks like it's fine now because 2 home runs for Nimmo in the first 5, 6, 7 games.
Stiff
Pretty good.
for the pitchers he's pitching against. Got to turn around and watch it.
Snapping necks, Brandon Nimmo, which we didn't expect to see. But that really does make this lineup so much more dangerous. If Nimmo has that power in the leadoff spot like that, from the start of the game, you're on notice because he can pop one out. That could be big for the Mets here.
He's a really good ball player. I didn't like in this game, though, with the lineup, just again, nitpick. I didn't like that they separated Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso in this lineup. There were a couple points in this game where Francisco Lindor was getting on very consistently, and then Marte was up there, and not that he was putting together bad at-bats, but he's not really smoking the ball so far this season. He had a clutch ribby late.
Yep.
But to have that Pete and Lindor suction cup in the middle of this lineup is really nice, whether they're 1-2, 2-3, or 3-4. And Pete did stay on Nola in this game, wound up chasing him. Drove in the aforementioned Starling Marte with a ribby double on just a horrific relay play by Didi Gregorius.
Yeah, I mean, on the stream, we were talking about a lot. I love to talk about how bad Didi is. You guys have probably figured that out. And I definitely love to talk about how bad he is defensively and what that noodle of an arm is. And boy, oh boy, did it show off today. I mean, there was a double play at some point in the game that should have been turned quickly. Couldn't get it done because they turned a horrible double play because the Phillies defense is terrible. But this game, I hate to keep using the same word over and over again, but there were a lot of microcosms here because you saw the Phillies defense for what it was.
The little things.
Relay throws, turning double plays. JT Realmuto, it wasn't really his fault late in the game, but the relay or the throw from Nick Castellanos home wasn't on target. These little things can be the difference makers in between games. So yes, it sounds like a broken record when we talk about the Mets defense or the Phillies' lack thereof, but it really can make the difference. And when it ends up being a closer game like it was, you can look back at points like this and say, that was a difference maker.
And specifically this RBI by Pete, the ball was hit to Nick Castellanos. And I know that Joey Cora I'm sure he runs yellow lights very habitually as he drives on the road. He was just waving that arm around, even with the middle of the order due up and nobody out. But he knows in the back of his head that Nick Castellanos is digging the ball out in left field. He's not a very good fielder, and he doesn't have a very strong arm. And it's coming to Didi Gregorius right here, who's not a very good fielder and doesn't have a very strong arm. Didi bobbled the ball, he spiked it to home plate, and Marte beat it by a couple seconds.
And how about the day for Pete too, who came into the game maybe struggling a little bit. People on Twitch were telling me he was struggling. I wanted to fight them because it was like 6 games into the year, but Pete had a day, 2 doubles, a home run. It's the kind of Pete Alonso we expect to see.
4 hard hit balls, a home run that we're going to talk about later.
He was fantastic. And then we had a lot of hit by pitches as well today. Yes. The hit by pitch train continues. Canna, McNeil, Dom Smith. Yep, we did get a run out of it, which was helpful. But we have just been getting drilled, and it continued. And you saw Bucket on the top step again. Buck's giving some glares. Buck is ready at any moment's notice to drop the gloves and throw some hands.
And I will say that I think that when we were winning this game 8-1, that they might have thrown at Gene Segura intentionally.
There's a world where that Sean Reed Foley pitch that hit Gene Segura in the wrist and took him out of the game could have been intentional. The one thing I will say to the defense there is Sean Reed Foley didn't have it.
Yeah. His command isn't great normally.
Yeah, so there's a good world where that was just a complete accident.
Yes.
Because he was kind of all over the place, but that's something to notice, something to talk about. We, again, said this series was going to be big for a lot going forward here. There was a lot of dudes hit this series already. And we know the bad blood that they already have with each other.
And the Mets play the Phillies 10 more times before June 1st.
Series.
You're going to see a lot more of these guys starting next weekend at Citi Field.
Yep. Start next weekend at Citi Field. After all those hit by pitches and Escobar's walk, we saw the Nito double play, which killed the inning. We would have loved to have been crazy people and pinch hit there. Me and James talked about it. It's crazy person. This was
the 4th inning of the game.
This is what the Giants and Rays do.
Yes.
So we don't expect the Mets to be there, and I don't expect you guys to necessarily be behind this decision making either. But if you really are trying to just make some nuts moves and really go balls
5-0 at this point, right?
Balls to the wall, knock them out, end the game right then and there. You pinch hit. You pinch hit for Nito, you bring in McCann, and you kind of rock that way. It's scary with only 2 catchers to ask a guy then catch like 4 or 5 innings.
Especially the day game after the night game, James McCann was getting a blow. If like this was night game after night game, or the Mets had 3 catchers in the roster, I would say absolutely yes. But even not, this should be the thought that is in the back of the minds of the managers. Because you went through this entire game, and did anybody in the bench get 1 at-bat?
I don't think so.
Travis Kanchowski didn't come in the game. Robinson Cano did not come in the game. J.D. Davis did not come in the game. Guillermo did not come in the game, and McCann did not come in the game. So there are players on this bench. None of them were used in this game. If you want to start being that crazy next level type of baseball manager, that's where you do it. You find this situation, you step on the throat. We didn't do it. It's not the end of the world, but we talked about it, and we delved into it more on the stream. Yeah,
for sure. And then it started to get interesting.
Yes.
As we started to go on here. Now, Scherzer did end up, doing pretty well at the end of it. Mm-hmm. He was not dominant by any means, but he was good enough to keep us with a pretty solid lead by the time that he got out of the game. And then we saw a little bit of crazy Max Scherzer too, because he gave up that single to Bryson Stott, which, by the way, I need to have a conversation about Bryson Stott. I was talking about this on the stream. I need to bring it to your guys' attention here. Bryson Stott, Vegas guy. People out there just seem to be a little bit of a different breed, I will say. Bryson, it's a name of Bryce and Jason put together. That, to begin with, that's a fake name. I'm sorry for name's Bryson. It's out there. And his walk-up song needs to be spoken about because...
both of them.
It is just one of the worst walk-up songs I've ever heard. He came up to Uncle Cracker, Drift Away, and then he came up to the song from TikTok. I think it's like, I know I'll be A-O-A-O-K, which like...
terrible.
That is just... bad. You can't let a guy named Bryson beat you to begin with. And then that's his walk-up song. It's not allowed. And I'm glad that he didn't end up beating us, but he's a pretty good hitter. He's got a good approach at the plate. I got to give him that.
He's a good ball player. He seems very sound. He plays a lot of different positions, which is something this Phillies team desperately needs. And this at-bat against Max Scherzer, he fought off a couple very tough pitches. And at this point, it was 1st and 3rd, nobody out in the bottom of this 4th inning. Scherzer had struck out the 2 hitters before Bryson Stott to make it 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. So you can kind of feel the momentum coming back to the Mets. Even after they put some more runs on the inning before, again, you're trying to put a team away. You're trying to step on a throat. And he fought off some tough pitches, and Scherzer threw him a 2-strike fastball that got a little bit too much plate below the zone, and he didn't fist it, but
they smoked it.
He didn't smoke it either. It was something in between.
I thought he took it. What was the exit velo on that? I bet you it's close to 100.
94.5.
Okay, he didn't smoke it.
But almost a hard hit ball. So, I mean, technically you could have been right. 780 XBA. Got just over Francisco Lindor's glove and got whatever the Mets just got in insurance running before, the Phillies grabbed one back. And this is one of the moments that kept him in the game. And by all means, you give up only 1 run when you have first and third, nobody else. That's like decent. I would call that like a neutral finish to an inning. And Max Scherzer stomped into the dugout. He threw. His glove. He was screaming. He was bright red. His hair was everywhere. Gave us a little taste of the psychopath we have pitching for us.
And he does have that history, too, with the Phillies last year. Joe Girardi checking him for sticky stuff. Taking his pants off, screaming at them. Joe Girardi then challenging Kevin Long to a fight who he's a good friend with, who's now the hitting coach of the Philadelphia Phillies. Like, there's a lot going on there with the Phillies and Max Scherzer. Glad to have him on our side.
Yes, and it was another start, mentioned before, where Max Scherzer was able to gut one out and be very, very useful to this team without his best stuff. He had a 25-pitch first inning that kind of killed any chance he had to give us length. He still got through 5, which most modern pitchers throw a 25-pitch first inning. You almost got to write them off in the third. He threw more than 50% fastballs, and he did get some whiffs on that, which is a very good sign. After getting none last Friday night against the Nationals, he touched 97 for the first time this season. If Max Scherzer can maintain 96, 97, we have still an ace even in his late 30s. But he just didn't seem to really have the touch in that slider or changeup. He wasn't throwing them in a lot of counts, especially not when he was behind. But all that being said, those 2 pitches combined got 40% whiffs. So even when Max Scherzer is just like 50% of what he can be, he's still mowing people down and very, very effective.
Isn't that crazy to talk about him not having it? And then you go, but his whiff rate's like elite still. It's like one of the best in the game for any pitcher for pitches. He's so sick. And luckily, again, the Mets offense was alive this game. We scored a lot of runs. We kept going. We kept hitting.
Third day in the Phillies bullpen. This week's going to happen in the series.
And this is something that we talked about. Like, okay, the Phillies have the big names. But as you get deeper and deeper into this roster, there are massive, massive holes.
Can you imagine with this series being said and done, the starting pitcher who pitched the most innings for the Phillies was Zach Wheeler.
The guy who hadn't pitched all spring and has a bum shoulder now.
He was only throwing 94 miles an hour, like 5 miles an hour below his average velocity last year.
No, it's crazy. But luckily, like I said, the offense kept hitting. Sean Foley then came in, didn't have it. We spoke about it, hitting Gene Segura. Whether or not that's intentional or not, that's your guys' decision to make. I don't think it was.
I think it could have been.
It could have been. I don't think it was.
I'm not going to say it was.
He struggled, didn't have it, kept them right back into the game, giving them a couple runs here and there. And then Joely came in, who Joely seems to be the martyr of the Mets community right now.
Well, it's not going to be the manager.
Yeah, no. God forbid a Mets fan says anything bad about Buck Showalter right now, which he didn't do anything wrong in this game. I don't think he deserves.
No. I was just saying that usually for whatever Met team, especially in my lifetime, the manager is 100% the scapegoat.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, all right, everyone, especially the old guys, I'll trust the manager tremendously. So we got to scapegoat somebody else.
Yes, and that guy has been Joely, who got Schwarber out, who
made him look stupid.
Made him look really stupid. The problem, though, was when he came out for the next inning, which, again, this is going to be a theme all season long, I think.
But against a lineup like this with the Phillies, you used Shreve yesterday. You want Joely to be able to face Bryce Harper. You don't want to bring in a not-so-great righty in the 7th inning to face Bryce Harper. You don't want that.
I 100% agree. Yeah. And he walked JT, walked Harper, yanked from the game. Ottavino came in, wasn't sharp. He hadn't pitched in a while, I feel like, either. I feel like it's been a few days. Yeah, so not good, not bad. 8-5, though. Yes. Too close.
Don't like that.
Scary when this game was kind of out of reach. I think I tweeted out, I'm like, 8-2.
It was 8-1.
Yeah, it was 8-1. I think I tweeted out when it was 8-2. I was like, 8-2's never made me sweat more. Like, the Mets find a way to make an 8-2 ball game close, and that's what they did. But luckily, we had our boy, Eddie Esco Bombs, the extra base hit machine.
Even before that, I want to talk about the fact that Seth Lugo had a good outing.
Okay, yeah.
He came back from what was a little bit dicey on Monday night. Not a little bit dicey. He was very dicey. He was as dicey as it gets. It was craps. And then he looked good. Curveball was working. He's getting his fastball over. It was all good. It gets to the top of the order. He faced Schwarber, Real Muto, Harper, if I do remember correctly as well. And that kind of eased my stress going into the top of the 9th inning where your boy
Eddie Esco Bombs.
Yes.
The extra base hit machine.
Yes.
Puts one out to center field.
Good moment.
Poor little kid.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
What happened?
He was like 10 or 11. Balls hit right on the precipice.
On the rail.
On the railing. We know well about the railing last year playing against the Phillies. Right on the rail. He gives us a little, what's that kid's name against the Yankees who's famous for putting it over? Jeffrey?
I have no idea.
Well, whatever that kid's name is. This guy did a little bit of that, except he was a Phillies fan, kind of helping the Mets out a little bit. Reached way over, clanked off his glove. The glove fell off into the field, too. The poor kid, I feel bad for him.
Me too.
He's got to go to school tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh,
as a Philly fan.
His friends are blowing him up.
All the garbage Philly people are going to be shitting on this poor kid. They booed him. They booed a 10-year-old kid.
He felt bad. His hat was over his face. They threw his glove back to him.
Which was nice.
Muziadi or Vierling, whoever was playing center field 9th inning. That was very cool, but I felt for that kid. He was bright red. Losing your baseball glove as an 11-year-old, that'll ruin your whole summer.
It's devastating.
Oh, my God.
His summer's just getting started. He's playing rec ball.
He might have a game tonight.
He could. He skipped school today to go to this game, and unfortunately got caught.
I mean, that's a good dad. Just Scherzer versus Nola.
Yeah, I would hope that all the fathers of Philadelphia or New York Mets fans had the opportunity to pull out their kid, even to watch it on TV. It's worth it. I'm going to do that at some point. I'm going to put my kid to watch a game on TV.
By then, this guy throws 5 innings.
Yeah,
you gotta watch him.
Gotta watch him. Now, here's what happened though. Eduardo Escobar got the triple after replay review, which was great because the man's an extra base hit machine. Plus, he walked 3 times on the day.
Ridiculous.
Have a day, Eduardo Escobar.
8 on the year.
8 on the year. And then Dom Smith. We got another sac fly. You guys know we love the sacrifice fly around here. Dom Smith with a nice sac fly to left field. We talk about that Castellanos play. Couldn't make a good throw. Safe at the plate. It was close. A good throw. He might have been out.
Yes.
But because the Phillies defense, again, is trash, there you go. The Mets score a run, get a huge run to make it 9-5. Edwin Diaz comes in, gives up the doinkiest home run of all time to Bryce Harper. He got a home run there, and the Mets end up winning this game 9-6. Edwin Diaz was fine.
Very casual. Edwin Diaz looks very good. No hate for Edwin Diaz. And that ball by Bryce Harper, the 160 expected batting average off the bat.
It was essentially the Jacob Stallings home run.
Yes, that was the same expected batting average as a lackadaisical Mark Canha ground ball to end the top of the 9th inning.
Yeah.
It just got out. You're Citizens Bank Park.
Just happened to go 335 feet in the right spot in the air. So,
yes, well, that happens.
Mets win the series.
Yes.
That's the big takeaway here is the Mets win the series. Another high five for the boys. 2 of 3. Could have been 3 of 3.
Could have been.
And we really did set the tone, I think, for what this season series is going to be. We went on the road for a Phillies team that was kind of swinging the bat well. I know they ended the series poorly against the Oakland A's.
Yes.
They didn't score. But it kind of played into the rest of the series here. The Mets were able to quiet the bats. And even this game, they didn't particularly hit well. It was a lot of walks and a lot of doinky little hits.
And it wasn't really until they were down 8-1 they got the bats going. And same thing with that Monday night game. We kind of got their bats going. Like just a JT Realmuto home run, really, and then did back-to-back doubles. But it really showed a lot from this Mets team to be able to win this game. Like there's something I talked about at the end of the National Series, but you can just see when this Mets team is on the field now defensively for the first time in basically my entire life. They are the ones who are putting pressure on the other team to make mistakes.
Yes.
It's not the other team putting pressure on us to make mistakes. The Mets are making all the 50-50 plays. They're making the easy plays look easy and the medium plays look easy and the hard plays look medium. Like that.
Escobar made that big play, which sounds crazy.
The
spinorama, where he probably didn't need to. Look good, look swag, and he got the out. And that's an out that Mets teams and Mets third baseman might not get in years past.
Not J.D. Davis.
Not J.D. Davis. Eduardo Escobar by no means is a Gold Glove third baseman. No one would say that. But he makes the plays you have to, and the Mets are playing solid defense. They're pitching well. They're hitting well. This is a really good recipe to be a very successful team, and that's why they're 5-2 right now. Could be 7-0.
And a big difference in a rubber match that got a little hectic was the fact that in the third day of bullpens, the Mets relievers were a little bit better than the Phillies. The Mets defense was a little bit better than the Phillies, and that's how they won this game. The way their bullpen pitched at the end of the game, and the way their defense didn't let the Phillies get back into this game more than they did just anyway.
No, it was fantastic. 5-2. Going into the Arizona Diamondback series. We will talk about that here in a second. But first, we do want to give a little bit of love to the prospects.
Yep.
The big 3.
Yes.
They have had a week or so.
Yeah, our boys in Binghamton are ripping the absolute cover off of the ball.
And, some might say it's because they've all happened to be on the Mets'd Podcast as guests here. And
weird coincidence.
All 3 of them playing really damn well in Double-A. I mean, the Mets, we've talked about this in the past, like the Mets minor league teams typically don't do well in the record department. This Double-A team is a juggernaut with these 3.
It's an actual super team. Like this has to be one of the best teams in the Eastern League. It has to be.
I mean, Brett Beatty, Francisco Alvarez, Ronnie Mauricio, just on the offensive side, those are 3 future Major League Baseball players, and a couple of them have a chance to be really, really good.
Those are 3 top 50 prospects, almost no matter what way you slice it up, no matter what ranking system you're using. At least, at worst, it's 3 top 100 prospects. And just to start with our guy Francisco, he's had some loud home runs, 3 in 3 games, to go along with 2 doubles, 4 runs, and 7 runs batted in.
And he had a single, a very, very loud and long single that he pimped. He bat flipped it, which is funny because last year when he did it and we spoke to him about it, he said he was going to calm it down a little bit.
But
seems like he's feeling himself a little bit.
And I hope he is feeling himself. Let's have some fun. He's better than almost every single player in this league. He should be pimping it. And the big thing for Alvarez that I like to see, last year when he got called up from St. Louis to Binghamton, while the power was apparent, one of the best power hitters basically ever seen in the Cyclones, hard to hit home runs there. He was swinging and missing a lot. His K rate jumped from being a minuscule number in St. Lucie where they had the automatic strike zone, and he's a strike zone savant, to over 25%. So far this year, 3 games, only 2 strikeouts. Really, 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 really great to see Francisco Alvarez honing back in that plate discipline. That made him a super prospect to begin with.
I do truly believe, too, that awful, awful batter's eye with the cyclone and the lightning.
The wind.
Yeah, everything in there also plays a little bit into it. But Francisco Alvarez swinging the bat well. Keep playing like this, he's going to be up in AAA soon, and maybe makes a little appearance for those New York Mets.
We got to give him basically a full month here in AA. He has to be able to dominate, make these players look small for a month. And then we can start talking about something that could actually be realistic in a few months, possibly.
Yeah, and then let's talk about Brett Beatty too, who not too shabby, a homer, 3 doubles, 6 runs in 4 games. I mean, these guys are just good hitters. They're good ball players.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to see that at the level that they're currently at, they seem to be extremely comfortable and playing well.
Yes, and Beatty and the next guy we're talking about, Mauricio, did have a little bit of exposure to AA last year. Francisco Alvarez did not. No. He finished the season out with the Cyclones. These are his first 3 games in AA, and he has 5 extra base hits, another ball that was smoked off the top of the wall, and just 2 strikeouts.
And then Ronnie Mauricio as well. Homer, 2 doubles, a stolen base. Granted, he is still striking out, and he isn't walking, which has always been the knock. That's going to be the knock, I think, on Ronnie till the end of time. That might just be the player he is. He might not walk, and he might strike out a lot, but we know that the talent's there on the offensive side with the power, with the pop, and even in the field, looking pretty good. He gets the plays that he needs to. He's still so young. All these guys, even Beatty, I know we like to talk about him being like a...
AARP?
Yeah, AARP, 6th-year senior out of high school, whatever he was, but he's still, like 21, 22?
I think he's 22, and the other guys are both 21.
They're so young. This is the future of the Mets, and it's nice to see that the big 3-headed monster of hitters is just looking really good.
Churning. And the last guy I do want to mention also is Jose Budo, who we talked about a lot last year. Got the opening day start for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, one of the best names in the minor leagues. Threw 4 innings, no runs, 8 strikeouts.
Yeah, he's good.
Really good. Really good. He's throwing fastballs high, changeups low. The shape on that fastball is something I paid attention to a lot too, because it looked like he had that nice rising action, even though Budo doesn't really have the elite velocity other top pitching prospects have. He looks like he will at least be a useful major league pitcher. Not sure of the role, not sure when, but it seems like Jose Budo has enough to get to this team at some point within the next 18 months and contribute.
And quick little housekeeping on some prospects too. We saw Jacob deGrom take a picture with Joel Diaz.
Yeah, really cool.
Which is cool because Diaz is an exciting, really, really young fireball and prospect that the Mets have as a pitcher. deGrom, obviously, because of the injury, still out in Port St. Lucie, out in Florida. Anytime Joel Diaz spends around Jacob deGrom is a huge win to me.
I hope he goes over his house and eats dinner with a family.
He should. Yeah. You should invite him over for a nice dinner, for a nice meal. I'm sure I'm sure he would appreciate.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And let's preview the Diamondback series. Mets 5-2, coming into the home opener on Friday. A nice off day, which I think is huge early in the season. I love an off day here, especially
off a win.
Off a win is great. Yeah, off day off a win, feeling like we did, scoring runs like that. It's great. And we're playing the Diamondbacks, who are not one of the best teams in baseball. They are weak. And we got the home opener. We got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The boys are going to be there. We're going to be there on Friday, maybe Saturday. I might be there Sunday. Not my Easter. I'm Greek, so I'll be celebrating the weekend after. James, he's got his Easter this weekend, so he won't be there. But
Good Catholic boy.
Good Catholic boy. Friday, we will be there. The Seaver statue unveiling, tailgating with the 7 line, of course.
Awesome.
Having some bevs, hanging out with the family, too. The family's going to be there. If you guys see us at the stadium, make sure you say what's up to either of us. We'll not be sitting with each other necessarily on the home opener, but we'll be walking around, hanging out. We got stickers for you guys, so if you want a Mets'd up sticker, we'll be handing those out, too, at the stadium. Feel free to use them how you please. Do whatever you want with them. But we got the Diamondbacks, and we got Chris Bassett on the home opener, which I love, because that's a completely different feel than Carlos Carrasco. No disrespect to him, but
Chris, look good.
Look good. Chris Bassett looked great, though.
Yes.
And I'm super excited to watch him in person for the first time ever, going up against Zach Davies, who is quite literally BP.
Just hit the ball.
Hit the ball.
Gotta hit the ball.
He's going to throw the ball down the middle. He's going to throw a ton of strikes.
Sinkers.
He throws 88 miles an hour. He's not Kyle Hendricks 88. He's debatably not a very good pitcher, Zach Davies. And this is the first home game for the Mets, the new Mets, which we talked about that maybe this lineup is built to play in Citi Field a little bit better in the future. This will be a nice test because balls are going to be in play. Zach Davies is going to put the ball in play when he's on the mound. And this Mets lineup, the way they've been swinging it, I feel pretty good. Game 2, we got Carlos Carrasco going up against Zach Gallen, who we know Zach Gallen at just any point could become one of the better pitchers in baseball, especially with Brent Strom there now with the Astros, former pitching coach, now being in Arizona. Interested to see him. And then Game 3 is Caleb Smith versus question mark.
We don't know yet. We haven't put anyone on the schedule yet, and there's 2 options for the Mets. It could either be David Peterson, just fully filling in for Taiwan Walker's rotation spot. The last time he pitched was Monday. It was 4 innings, so he has enough rest. Or it really could be Tylor Megill, because Tylor Megill pitched on Tuesday. This would be Tylor Megill's 5th day. This would be normal rest for him. And the Mets have an opportunity to go through one more full turn this rotation with another off day next week with 4 starting pitchers. And I'm interested to see how they play it.
Yeah, I'd be aggressive. Especially if the Mets win the first 2 games, let's be aggressive. Let's have some fun.
I mean, but also they can see the opposite of that. Caleb Smith's pitching for the Diamondbacks, who was objectively awful. As a starter. He was a good reliever last year for a period of time, but he throws not hard from the left side without really many good secondary pitches.
No, he should get smacked around as he did in his first start of the season.
Yes.
Mets should beat the Arizona Diamondbacks pretty badly.
Yes.
They should hand it to them. They are not one of the stronger teams in baseball. Keep an eye out for Ketel Marte.
Yeah, he's a good ball player.
He's just like one of the better players in baseball. You don't know about him because he plays in Arizona, but
Yeah.
he's really, really good. He'll be a pain in the ass. Anybody else from this team offensively want to watch for?
I mean, new guy offensively. Dalton Varsho is a pretty exciting prospect. He's a very athletic catcher / center fielder, which you don't see every day.
And he played shortstop in the minors too. I want that to be known.
Yeah, he's a pretty good ball player. Cooper Hummel is another prospect who's been hitting leadoff for them. He's just one of those classic play discipline guys. He will sit there and just watch pitches go by all day long, wait for a good one, hit it out of the park. If he gets that opportunity, I don't know if he will. But overall, this lineup, as of right now, 6 games into their season, basically have no hitters hitting above 200. Their bullpen's also not good at all. Just let's kill them.
They started the year in Arizona too, which is just a hitter's heaven. You love to hit in
Not
Arizona.
anymore. Humidor actually neutralized it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, over the last 2 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But beat them, sweep, do whatever
them.
you want.
Crush
You gotta take advantage of
Yes.
the bad teams. We're gonna talk about that all year long. It's what the Rays do. That's why they're able to win first place every year in the American League East.
We
Gotta
say
beat
that
up.
as they just lost the game to the A's.
They're hurting though. They're hurting. That's different. But anyway, beat up on the Diamondbacks, and this has been a messy episode.
Really messy episode.
Messy episode number 83 of the Mets'd podcast, brought to you by the 7 Line. Of course, make sure you guys are following us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Mets'd Up. You'll be able to find us there. Video content on YouTube, Mets'd Up podcast. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen, you'll be able to find us. Drop us a rating, drop us a review. It really does help. Follow me on Twitter at GiraffeNeckMark, James at Jeter Had No Range. We'll see you guys at the home opener on Friday. Thanks for listening. And let's go Mets. Let's sweep the Diamondbacks. They suck.
Peace out, guys. See you next time.